I used theatrics to spite my bully. He was pretty dramatic about the whole thing. At 18, I got my first real job in the Canadian oil patch during the early 2000s boom. It paid 20 hour, no experience or education required, when minimum wage was under $6. The gig was well testing. You'd hook up closed pressure tanks and flare stacks to new oil, gas wells, flow them back, and gather data for the oil barons. Setup and teardown were brutal physical work, but the rest involved monitoring gauges and logging data on a PC. Solid first job, except for fucking Gary. Crews were 2-man for 12-hour shifts or 4-man for 24-hour rotations, 1 laborer and 1 supervisor per shift. I drew Gary, a mean-spirited alcoholic in his mid-50s. He was overweight and lazy, only pitching in for impossibly heavy lifts like 250-pound pipes. Most days he holed up in the trailer watching DVDs, napping, and punching in hourly data. He loved joking, straight-up insults at my expense. I'm no small guy, 6'1" in boots. But I had a baby face and zero confidence back then. He called me stupid nonstop. When he learned I'd never used a power drill, he sneered, "Didn't your dad teach you anything?" Mistake. I mentioned my dad was only around a few years. Next error I made, he quipped. No wonder he walked out. I called him on it. Classic asshole response. Can't take a joke? Jobs were always remote, so dinners meant small-town dives, mostly bars. Gary drank heavily every night, but got personal after couple. Soon, I drove his truck everywhere. 100, 350 kilometer daily for weeks, 100 miles, 160 kilometer. He pocketed one balls 10 kilometer. I got minimum wage for travel. Hungover most mornings, he'd crash like a gin-soaked corpse, barking, "I'm the boss." Endured 3 months of verbal abuse and belittling. I don't react much. Long bullying history left me silent, but everyone snaps eventually. Needed the cash, so I endured. Until I didn't. Part 1. The Power of Love. First lesson in revenge. You can't defeat evil with the power of love. Part 2. The Power of Terror. One night on a remote job, over dinner, I pointed out it sucked that he slept while I drove his truck, and he got all the quomo mater pay. Suggested kicking me a few bucks. Bad move. He lost it. Escalated abuse. Threatened my job. Young me hit angry tears. Breaking point reached. Self-preservation instincts faded. Impulses took over. I just wanted off his crew. I'd been note-taking for that. Wanted to quit, but fate intervened next morning. Gary in his usual booze coma, I drove. About 30 kilometers from site, a running semi idled at a highway pullout. Trucker outside. Instant plan. Gary needed a firm shake to wake, so he ignored me stopping. Asked trucker for a favor. He agreed. Cab ready for my signal. Parked Gary's truck bumper to bumper facing the massive Peterbilt. Unnoticed by Sleeping Beauty. Signal given. Trucker unleashed his air horn like Helm Hammerhand at Helm's Deep. Full commitment to terror. I honked Gary's horn wildly. Screamed, "Fuck, we're gonna die," at top volume. Glorious chaos. Horns blasting like bombers for under a minute. Gary detonated, dented the ceiling liner. Thick skull saved him. Force from sheer panic shitting himself launched him upright. Bowels bankrupt till retirement. Howls turned to incoherent rage and death threats. I reversed, peeled out, waved trucker goodbye before Gary could exit. 10 meters down the road, he wheezed about his dangerously high blood pressure. I could have stroked him out. 4 years later, paramedic school proved him right. At 18, clueless. Would have assumed epic hangover or laziness faking paralysis. Like Stalin's docs. Laughed hysterically. "Calm down, can't you take a joke?" He sputtered threats. My hyena cackles fed the loop. Asked if purple red was his usual color. 20 more minutes of this ballet to sight. He ordered me out, fired me on spot, stormed off to call the owner. Smoked cigs, chuckled intermittently, savored Pyrrhic win for 4 hours, till GM arrived. Medium firm, 100 employees. Gary demanded cops for attempted murder. Boss talked him down. Spun me as Satan. En route home, I detailed the abuse. GM laughed heartily. Decent dude. Kept me on till I hit school. Reassigned to a new crew as resident lone sociopath. Earned street cred with the company guys.